service. Hey everyone, welcome to Chef Sense. I'm your host, Chef Massey. All right, so today is another solo flighter. Who's excited? I am. All right, so anyways, let's get into this. So today is the topic of a cook's beginning. So this is a very generalized overview and just my tips and insight on starting out. Again, this is for a cook that is maybe stepping out of the dish room, or for someone that is going to consider culinary school, maybe just before it, trying to gain some hands-on knowledge before they do so. I want to make clear too, an education is what you make of it. I want to talk about the way I see a kitchen crew. Some of these behaviors, they kind of remind me a little bit of a wolf pack, and maybe that's just my indigenous side coming out. And what I mean by that is that in a wolf pack, you have a hierarchy and you have a very close-knit group of individuals that everybody has a very important place in the pack. I look at that the same way in a kitchen, that, you have your alpha male, or alpha female, but your alpha is there. It trickles down from there in leadership and community members of that pack. They survive and coexist out in the wild very closely, and their synergy is truly amazing. The way they communicate, the way they do that with body movements, verbal communication, to the way they're, the angle of their tail to the hair on their back. I mean, again, I know I'm kind of going into this one, but, I think on being native, we use wisdom from one another as human beings. Some of our greatest teachers are those animals of the planet. So using that analogy, that's where I kind of put the two together. So being a cook, I think coming out of the dish room for myself, I know that's starting at the lower totem of the kitchen. The great benefit for me on that is I had an opportunity to, get to be a part of the dish, the dish pit crew, be a dish dog, and be very valuable there. And as I moved past that, I was always looking ahead, and it gives you a very interesting ability to observe the rest of the team without kind of them, in a sense, sometimes not really being aware of you. You pick up on the lower hanging fruit, meaning employees or cooks that are in the kitchen and the kitchen chemistry, and you kind of get some insights on things that are much different coming from that direction. You also get an opportunity to see equipment, how things are used in the kitchen. Going back into that team dynamic, you can start to put those things together and maybe look at an opportunity for yourself for advancement. So again, it kind of gave me a warm up to be able to step into cooking side of the world and be very good at it from that foundation side. Let's go into my perspective or overview of what I call are this is a list of points that, you can use as a cook. They're actually bullet points that I use, even as a chef. So, but this is where it all started. And this is what I call the to be list. So first, be responsible, be willing, be communal, be driven, be aware, be a communicator, be confident, and be forgiving. So, be responsible. In that it's, be on time, be ready at the time of your shift, prep it forward. If you take it, replace it. Leave your station better than you found it. Clean as you go. Take good notes. So those are some areas there in being responsible that, I have placed. Also, be willing. Be willing to take constructive criticism. Be willing to be open-minded to change. Be willing to cross-train. And again, don't look to cross-train, obviously, right away. Master your station. Master your station first. Be very good at it. Be very reliable and consistent. And, while you're doing that, that's where it's kind of being observant on the next steps and looking at, okay, here's the next station I want to get to. I want to get to sauté from the garde manger station, or I want to get to this station from here. be willing to cross-train, and that's how I shifted through all my stations and moved up into, the lower supervisory role in a kitchen as a chef de partie, and then moving up from there. Be communal, another one. If I'm mincing garlic, if I'm, mincing shallots, making stock, pulling something from the walk-in, does anybody else need any? Does somebody else need some minced garlic? Be willing to kind of be a part of that culinary community, share, and again, it can be, don't be taken advantage of. That's just another way of, existing in that community and being a constructive, positive team member in that unit. Also being communal is being honest with your insights. Anything that you can bring forward to the team and share as a community to benefit a better outcome or see something coming up that could be of concern. Be driven. To be an example, is to show that through your work. Be an asset to the team. Drive to the next level. So that's, again, where there's also being driven outside, where maybe you're studying at home or you're tinkering with some things at home to do that pre-setup so that you're gaining that knowledge. When you get back in the kitchen, you can kind of test those waters and move forward. The other one is be aware. Be observant of your kitchen surroundings, and that's also be aware of the energy in your kitchen, how the team is working and how everybody is checked in. Be aware of the product quality on your line, in your kitchen, your line inventory, your equipment settings. Maybe you're on the PM crew, the oven's set at 425 and you guys are, used to it being set at 400 or whatever, being that level of aware of how your equipment's operating to the flame level on your saute station, if you're reducing something or whatever. So that level of awareness of being committed to that is huge. Checking my knives. Do they need to be sharpened? Does my team member need a hand? Those are awareness topics there. Be a communicator. If you see it, say it. No one's a mind reader. Even though you can spend a lot of time with your pack and you guys get this synergy together, it's a beautiful thing. Try not to take hands off steering wheel with that one. There's no such thing as over communication. That's the way I feel. That has helped me also in leadership. There's just no such thing as over communication, because the fact is no one is a mind reader. If I can share that thought or direction or strategic plan, you get insights from other people that you may have not seen something. So again, be a communicator. Be willing to take insights from others. Be confident. Be proud of your work. Be proud of your team's work. Sometimes people struggle with being confident. I think sometimes you can go into that and you're like, oh man, I don't want to fail. Cooking, life is not perfect. Kitchens strive for perfection, but you live and you learn, and the only way is if you try. The other is be forgiving. You're going to make mistakes. Learn from them. Be teachable. Take that opportunity to correct those mistakes and minimize them. The biggest thing to it is, look, you learn from it, you know what not to do, and you become stronger from it. But the goal at the end of the day is become wiser, minimize those mistakes. So yeah, those are my to-be list. I have partnered with an amazing company, Thrive Market. Thrive Market is an online natural food store. It's a one-stop shop. They have 6,000 plus products, and they are curated by their experts, organic, non-GMO, vegan, paleo, keto, gluten-free, you name it. Thrive Market caters to it. Up to 50% off retail at times, delivered to your door. With our crazy lives, couldn't be a better match. Anyways, take advantage of this opportunity. Go to thrivemarket.com/Chef Massey and get your membership free gift up to $60 and 30% off your first order. Now back to the episode. The other side, let's take a look at just some equipment advice, tool advice that I have for you. Obviously, don't forget the Sharpies, and you can get those in about a 12-pack. The other is getting a notebook, something that you can, take your notes down. I also used to like to use the old school meat pads that would fit in your chest pocket of your chef coat or apron. Made it kind of easy to quick jot notes down, but sometimes, even using a clipboard helps. So again, you can go into a kitchen where they have a knife company that comes in and they provide communal knives. That's great. Typically, those knives are okay. I mean, at the best, they've, been transitioned through other kitchens and brought in, and they've come in and they change them, once a week, and you get a sharp blade and stuff. Again, they're not usually the best metal, but hey, it's free. And that's great if your company or kitchen or chef provides that. It's cool, because back in the day, it wasn't that way. But let's just talk about that equipment if you decide to go out on your own. This is a suggestion that they're an investment. Your tools are an investment, and it can get very expensive. So when you're starting out, just start out with, look at grabbing that knife roller, that knife bag, get an 8-inch chef's knife, 3.5 or 4-inch paring knife, get a peeler, one of those Y peelers, those Swiss peelers. Those are pretty sweet. I like those better than a regular peeler. Get a digital temp gauge. You can get a cake tester. I do like those. They're great for, if you're cooking potatoes or anything like that, and you want to probe it for, if it goes all the way through, it's done. The other thing is you can do testing of meats, proteins while they have been cooked. But that's usually a higher skill set to use that as a tool like that. Let's go back to the fact that you would use it at this point for checking for doneness. The other thing you can do for checking for doneness is using your paring knife or a fork just to see how it goes into the potato or turnip or whatever you're cooking. When I look at brands starting out, back in the day, they used to have Forstners. I don't think they're around anymore. They're a little bit of a softer metal. Victorinox and Mercer are two companies that put out, a decent knife or decent kitchen tools for starters. I think those are two good investments where you're not breaking the bank, but you're getting your own tools. And make sure you get a steel as well with that too. So sometimes, some kitchens, they have a tri-stone or they have some stones you can use to sharpen in the kitchen, but it's always good for you to have a steel because it brings your edge back, and it doesn't actually sharpen it like a stone, but it takes that curl or that lip off your edge and brings it back to the straight. So, all right. Anyways, let's go into, when you're looking at working with your knives, you're new at it. Getting a firm foundation with that educator, that kitchen manager, whoever is kind of taking you under their wing, working with those knife skills is always key to work with them, obviously, primarily, and then branch off from there as you kind of start working that process and being comfortable and confident with your ability with those knives. Again, it's just like with cooking. As I was coming up, I would make sure I was tinkering with recipes and cooking for family members, doing anything I could outside of the kitchen. Typical beginning positions in a kitchen, let's kind of go into that. Oftentimes it's usually a prep cook or production cook. You're starting out with, maybe roasting bones and making stocks to basic prep, peeling potatoes, peeling onions, carrots, portioning things, cooking pastas and certain things like that, to slicing, deli meats and basic, marinades and things like that, and base dressings. So, take advantage of those opportunities, but that's, some of the ideas that you may be, dealing with as you start out. Literature or books for information. Again, these are ones that I have in my library that I used many years ago. All the chefs that I was trained under, they came from the CIA. So that's where, am I biased towards the CIA? It would probably appear that I am, but, Johnson Wales and some of these other schools are absolutely fantastic as well, and they have their own literature. Let's get into this. All right, so the first one is The Professional Chef. I believe that's the 8th edition out from the CIA. That book, I got the earlier editions and just, kind of swapped them out as they came out over the years. But that's a good foundation book from teaching you sauces to butchery to a variety, base baking. I mean, there's just so much in those books as a foundation piece and cut sizes. I mean, there's a variety in there for you to learn from. The other one you can look at too is this complete book of knife skills from Zwilling J.A. Hinkle. That's a small pamphlet that, can give you some extra, ideas on knife work. Again, working with your KM or kitchen supervisor to make sure that you're ready for that stuff. So those are the two big ones there, but the other is getting into, as a beginner, the new Food Lover's Companion. That one is fantastic. I think it's got cuisine description. It's got product description. It's got just kitchen words. I mean, it's produce and anything, everything. I mean, it's another book that's been around many, many years. It comes out, new editions come out. And, again, it's another great resource just to break, hey, I heard this word. You can go in there and actually look it up, and it gives you some description. The other is the Flavor Bible. Highly recommend that one. Again, there is some advanced usages in there. It's great because you can see where, and I use it even today, if I'm like, oh man, take a peek in there and, look under lemongrass or look under, whatever. It could be strawberries. I mean, as simple as that. But it pairs in these flavor profiles. It gives you a little extra to open your mind that, oh, okay, well, I didn't realize that, strawberry, watermelon, and basil, cucumber, they can all work together somehow. And that's just an example. But that book is great for giving you some extra knowledge to go, oh, I didn't think about that. And you can tinker with that list and be like, wow, those really go well together. It's kind of cool. Anyways, Salt, Fat, Acid, and Heat is another decent book that explains kind of how those all work together and how very important they are. Sauces is another book that's great. It talks about classical and contemporary sauces and gives you a very good insight. A little bit of prehistory on some of those things in there as well, which is cool. And when it comes down to, ratios, Michael Roman has a good book where you can go in there and it's like 4-to-1 for polenta, 4-to-1 of liquid to your polenta base, if you're making it. So it's good because sometimes those ratios, like on rices or baking or baking's a little bit more touchy because that's more science involved. As you scale up and you've got to kind of watch your leaveners and stuff. But going back to some of the areas where the ratios do help you, it's pretty cool. Like in hollandaise, it's, I think it's 6 egg yolks to 1 pound of butter. But, where I've been, I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm going to do a 4-to-1 ratio because I don't think I need as many yolks. Again, this ratio book by Michael Roman gives you an opportunity as a foundation to go, okay, cool. If I need to whip that up, I can. And the beauty of it is when you have your ratios in your head, you can build off of that. You can take that and make a Chiron sauce, or some of these other things, or vinaigrette, 3-to-1. Your 3 of your oil to your 1 acid or vinegar, Dijon mustard. At that point, then you're adding spices and herb, maybe a little bit of sugar in there and honey or maple, I also want to be clear too, follow the recipe. If your kitchen has recipes, that comes first. But this can give you an opportunity to, you're making stuff at home for family and friends, like I said before. It gives you kind of a platform. So The Soul of a Chef by Michael Roman's another good one, and Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. Some great books there when you're outside of the kitchen can help give you a little bit of a leg up. So any other questions you have for me or suggestions, feel free to reach out to me at james@chefmassey.com. And, here's a couple of small bites for you. Knowledge shared is knowledge gained, and repetitious action feeds the subconscious mind. All right, so now we get to do the 86th award. For those of you that don't know, what it is you guys email me the issue that you had in your day. Somebody treating you a certain way, the chef, the cook, the this, the coworker, whoever. We'll take it all. But we have been getting a lot of the culinary ones in. So let's get into this. And if you do win it, you win a prize. This one is for a $100 gift certificate to Zwilling again. This one is coming in from Dillon R from Chicago, Illinois. All right, let's see. Here we go. Chef Massey, please consider my nominee. For weeks, our chef was complaining that someone was not putting organic waste in the composting bin. They kept putting it in the normal trash. Every lineup, he kept mentioning it. Well, today, after family meal, we gathered for lineup like normal. Chef stood there with a big grin on his face. We stood there as well and looked at each other, waiting in silence. Then he said, I hope you all liked family meal. Some of us mentioned how great it was and nodded. He said, that's nice. I used what the Lazy Shoe decided not to put in the compost bin to enhance your culinary experience, as he chuckled. Chef said, I'd like to thank them for the variety they provided me. There was complete silence. That turned to gas and shocked whispers. Sarah, one of our cooks, tore off her apron and ran to the restroom covering her mouth. Chef then proceeded with pre-meal discussing VIPs and reservation timing. We were all so pissed and disgusted. Lots of exclamation points on this one. Chef Massey, please give Chef A-Hole the 86th award. All right, well, Dillon R from Chicago, thank you for that. And that is going to be going in the mail in the next day or so. All right, keep them coming in, and that's kind of rough. All right, stay safe out there. Yeah, all right, everyone, that is a wrap. You can check us out if you like that. Subscribe. Also, the Instagram, Chef Massey. Let's keep it simple. ChefMassey.com. Have a good one. Bye for now.